Good morning, guys. Sunday the 12th of November, day 24 of my Australian daily vlogs. I am currently going back over the Sydney Harbour Bridge. My first stop is Sydney Airport. Here I am at Sydney Airport to pick up my brother.
Hello.
How's it going?
Yeah, good, good.
My brother has just flown up from Melbourne to Sydney to join me in the car back down to Melbourne. Well, you got up at 5 o'clock? 5 o'clock in the morning. It's 8:45, so it's going to be a long day for you. I need to go and find a coffee and some breakfast. Have you eaten breakfast?
No.
He's insured on the 7 Series, which means I can spend some time back there. Obviously, he can as well. It'll be an exciting day, and I'm glad that we can bring you lot along for it. It's a joke. We're starting our long journey on the Hume Highway. Waze is saying about 8.5 hours, but obviously we're going to factor in a few stops along the way, so realistically probably closer to 10 hours. I've talked a little bit about driving standards, or lack thereof, in Australia. I've spent a few days up here in Sydney and New South Wales, and I have to say, much to my brother's disgust, that I genuinely think that Sydney drivers or New South Wales drivers in general are a little bit better than Victoria drivers or Melbourne drivers. Beautiful weather out there, 29-30 degrees, but it's lovely and air conditioning here. We've got our seat cooling on. So the plan in today's video is actually a bit of a Q&A. My brother's been sifting through some comments that have been left on all of the vlogs up until today, and then I will film a living with video for the 740i, and that will feature on the channel at some point during the next month or so, because it's a bit of a timeless piece. Time for the Jack and Joe Q&A show.
There's a couple that won't be a surprise, and the first one's probably not a surprise at all. What's the best food and the best coffee you've had so far in Australia?
That is the hardest question in the world, because pretty much every coffee, and I reckon 80% of the food I've had has been incredible, and the other 20 has been really good. Best meal I've had, where we went, which was...
Sapphire Hills, yeah.
Yeah, Sapphire Hills?
Sapphire Hills,
Sapphire
yeah.
Hills in Yarraville.
Ah, that was in Footscray, that one.
Footscray.
Yeah.
No, not that. That was good, but I actually preferred the other one, the Thai.
Ah, yeah, that was Smile Buffalo. That was in Yarraville.
Yeah, but actually, yeah, both of those were very good. And where I went out for dinner with Nick from BMW Australia and Paul was also very good. But and something else I have to throw in there from yesterday's vlog, and I just told you about it, was my breakfast wrap at... I can't remember the name of the place, but it's in yesterday's vlog. If you're in North Sydney, go there and get one of these breakfast wraps. Oh my goodness, I can still taste it now. Amazing. And in terms of coffees, once again, so many. I mean, the one we just had at a random place that you found on Google Maps or whatever, that was good. I couldn't pick a coffee to say what was my best, but yeah, there you go.
I'll try and suggest a couple more good ones for you.
Yes.
All right, and so far your biggest surprise of any kind you've had in Australia, whether it's good or...
The average weather that I had in Melbourne to start with, although I knew that was coming, because it's not really your summer, is it? And I know that you do have mixed weather like the UK a lot of the year, but warmer in general, obviously. And I wouldn't say it's the biggest surprise, but a nice surprise I've had is how welcome I've been made to feel here in Australia. Obviously from you and Rani, because you're family, but so many people that I've met, either people that watch my channel or not, just general people. But obviously, yeah, people like Shaheen and Amy and stuff at the meets, both meets I've done, just really lovely people. So that's probably my biggest positive surprise, and is there a negative as well?
Well, it's kind of goes into the next question, which is, and again, these ones I haven't mentioned who they're from because they've been mentioned multiple times, but this one's your pet hate so far in Australia, so kind of that is your negative, I suppose.
So my negative pet hate will probably be no surprise, because I think I've already talked about it in today's vlog, is driving standards, in particular in and around Melbourne. That would drive me pretty nuts, I think, if I lived there. And that's why, for anyone that missed my iX1 video, it was such a good car to cruise around in Melbourne traffic and Melbourne drivers, because it's just a very relaxed, chilled environment.
What are you looking most forward to when you get back?
Lou. Yeah.
No surprise there?
Yeah, I mean, I don't even need to think about that. Lou, obviously, my own bed and my own house and my own kettle, and yeah, not that you've made me feel very welcome at home, and I've been mostly living out of a hotel for the last 3 weeks. I've needed that space, and it's been really handy and helpful for what I've done, because I've had to selfishly be up at anti-social hours to edit and stuff. Seeing mum and dad, they are coming over about 10 days after I get back, just before they come out here. So I haven't seen them for ages. It's gonna sound strange, and I'll be editing this when I'm back home in the UK, and I'll be probably smashing my keyboard right now, saying, how did you say that, and what do you mean? What I'm gonna say is, I'm kind of looking forward to a bit of cold weather and the fire and stuff burning at night.
Now this one, I'm going to tie this one in with a couple of questions now. NZ Sarge 1 and Timbo 8095, they asked about Gold Coast and Adelaide and the supercar events that were going on. Obviously, by the time this is going out, those events have happened. Gold Coast and Adelaide, you haven't visited this trip, but is that something you plan on potentially doing in the future?
Definitely. I think one of the most regular comments, or popular comments, that I've had on my Instagram, especially, and Facebook, my next trip in an ideal world would be to do a similar thing, but visit and do, like, I don't know, like 8 meets or something at various dealerships across the country, and instead of limit it to 50-55 tickets, like have 100 people, and also organise like a drive out from each city as well, and actually get to spend a bit of time with people, because it's great meeting people briefly, like at Sydney and stuff, but I just feel like I want to meet people for longer. Nothing beats meeting people in person than messaging and all the rest of it. So yes, next trip, Adelaide and Brisbane at least, if not Gold Coast in there as well, and Perth as well, Western Australia. I know it's a long way away, but I can do Perth on the way home or on the way here, whatever. So yeah, definitely more varied next time.
This is a question no one on your channel will know the answer to. Quite an important question from Super Terminator 50. Joe, how tall are you?
Oh, that's a hard one. I haven't mentioned it for a while. Oh, mate.
I don't know if you've mentioned it on your vlogs, except for in the Amira video.
The Amira video, yeah. Where I was actually told by a number of people that I was wrong, and other YouTubers have not mentioned the fact that the driving position is awful for taller drivers. So yeah, apparently I was wrong. Apparently the fact that I was driving like this and filming like that. I am 6'4", though I'm beginning to think that I'm now only 6'3", because when I meet people that are 6'4", they tend to be taller than me, so maybe I'm starting to shrink.
I'm sure we might hear about that in the future at some point. Fresh Drive has asked, is it just him, or are the beers in that beer fridge you walked into very expensive for a case?
Good question. I'm guessing that's the beer fridge you and I went in on day 1 of my trip.
I think it was.
Feels like about 6 months ago now.
We're in a fridge right now, which is nice.
You're probably a better person to answer this, because
I'd say they are. Like, I'd say that a case of beer is a lot more expensive here. There's a lot more craft beers though, and anytime a craft beer comes in, it's going to be more expensive, right? So I think a lot of the time they're a lot more popular as well, especially in Melbourne.
Watch out, roadkill on road ahead.
That's it. Here's an interesting question, because I don't know what happened with this, but from Paul Marriage, how did you go in the karting?
Oh no! Wait, did that come up? Did he comment on?
I don't know.
Oh, did he send you that?
No.
Or did you make this up?
I'm not too sure where it came from.
Let's just say I didn't do as well as I thought I was going to do. And let's just say that I wish I hadn't have given Paul so much stick about beating him in the go-karts, because I didn't beat him in the go-karts. When Paul comes to the UK and we go out in proper karts, like I took you out in, 2-stroke proper karts, none of this kiddie electric stuff, then we can revisit that question maybe.
All right.
Yeah, but I lost. Yeah, I definitely lost.
Now from Rani and I, squishy or tango?
Oh, that's not fair. That's really hard to answer. I think they've both got their own little character. I don't know, I couldn't say that. That's, yeah, if I could have a combination out of both of them, then that would be perfect. But they are adorable dogs, and I'm looking forward to seeing them later this evening.
One I was interested in, it wasn't actually asked, but it's a question that I thought viewers might be interested in, is editing and uploading. So after you finish a day, how long does it take you to edit the video, upload it and put it on YouTube? For these daily vlogs I'm talking about in particular.
Good question. It's taken me a lot longer than I anticipated when I had the crazy idea of doing the daily vlogs in the first place. When I initially spoke to Nick from BMW Australia back in March this year, so what's that, well over 6 months ago, that wasn't on the plan at all. A few weeks before coming out here, I thought, let's do daily vlogs, like, and I'm really glad I have, because they've gone down very well. The other side of the world, to the majority of my audience that are back home in the freezing cold and wet, as I am now when I'm editing and watching this, I'd be silly not to at least attempt it and try to bring people along. I thought if I knock out, let's say 30 videos daily, non-stop, my subscriber growth might actually start picking up, because it's been dead over the past 12 months. But actually, it's killed the subscriber growth even more, which is just bizarre. In answer to the actual question, in my head I thought, okay, an hour and a half every night. But actually, in reality, it's ended up being about 2.5 to 3 hours on average every night. And the reason it has, I will probably film, when I drag all of my daily stuff onto my timeline in Premiere Pro, and usually I've got between 35 and about 50 minutes of footage from the day. So then I'll shrink that down, shrink that down, shrink that down. As you know, I think my first couple of days when I was at your house, and I was like, it went from 40 minutes to 11 or 12 minutes. But that takes about an hour and a half to 2 hours, sometimes longer if I've got, because you've got to imagine, if you've got 40 minutes on your timeline, you've got to go through that 40 minutes slowly while you're cutting it up. Well, then you've got to export it, that's another 10 minutes. Upload it onto YouTube, that's another 10 minutes to 30 minutes, depending on the internet speed. Then you've got to do all the ticking boxes on YouTube and monetization. Even though my thumbnails aren't anything special, you've got to find something that's a bit punchy, put some text on it, you know, that's another 10-15 minutes. All these things, and when you add them up, I would say 3 hours on average at the end of each day. That is what's been taking a toll on me, is the late nights, and the fact that, as I'm sure everyone can relate to, if you're stuck in front of a computer screen and you're really focused, you can't then just pull yourself away from that and go to bed. You've got to spend half an hour, 45 minutes, an hour winding down and let your brain, because you know, you go to bed and your head's still buzzing from looking at the screens. A couple more. There's one of your subscribers who keeps leaving comments now. He's obviously a huge Neighbours fan. Right. Oh yes. Seems like he must love watching his Neighbours. He wants to know updates on Neighbours, but not only that, he really wants to know if you've visited Ramsey Street. But he's also got a question. You mentioned Jason in one of your vlogs. Now, he was wondering if you meant Jason Donovan. I think I might have watched one episode of Neighbours in my life. I don't remember mentioning Jason, and if I did, then unfortunately for you, it wasn't Jason Donovan. But I have been seeing those comments, and they have been amusing me. One thing you'd keep from Australia and take back to the UK, and then vice versa, one thing you'd take from the UK and bring here if you had the opportunity. Oh, quality of coffee. Now, there are some decent places back home in the UK. In general, the coffee over here is unreal, and I know I go on about it loads, but it's because I love my coffee. If I could bring the level of coffee over to the UK, that's what I'd bring over. And vice versa, and I can't believe I'm going to say this, British driving talent, bring that over to Australia in general. And don't listen, I know the majority of my subscribers, or I'm hoping all of them, are good drivers, and there are good drivers out here, but as a whole, it's ironic that Australia has such strict driving rules and regulations, and I think the majority of people stick to them, but I think it actually also is a large part of why the driving levels and standards are so low.
That's it, that's all of them for now.
Oh, okay, well, fantastic questions, and once again, thanks to everyone for getting involved with the vlogs and watching the daily vlogs. I really, really appreciate it.
Watch out, vehicle on shoulder ahead.
Yeah. Why would... What? Yeah, I know, yeah, but like, that again, that just...
You should put that in the outtake, that would be brilliant.
Yeah, no, but that just sums up, like, Australia's mentality.
Yeah, I know.
They pulled over in the hard shoulder
put the kid nearly
in
on
a
the road.
Prado. There was a little boy doing a wee. These things happen. Sometimes you can't wait, you know, if you need to go, you need to go. Totally get that. Don't put your 5-year-old boy on the right hand side of your...
Yeah, next to the big trucks.
Next to the big trucks. He was peeing on the right rear tyre with the mum standing behind. The mum was basically on the white line of the inside lane. Long Track Cafe and Pantry. Looks like my chauffeur's ready for me. Well, after a lovely lunch and yet another fantastic coffee, I am now being chauffeur driven by my brother. Now, this is something I didn't think was ever going to happen. I've got my seat set to the most laid back position. I've got a footstool down there. I've got my laptop out because I am actually going to take advantage of my brother driving. I'm not just going to sit back here and talk about how comfortable it is. I am going to crack on with some work. You now join us 2 hours later, and I'm in the back editing. I actually nodded off. I know this is going to sound strange, but I think I had too much caffeine and I just suddenly felt really, really tired. I had a couple of mini sleeps, and for people that know me personally, you'll know that in the past 20 years, I think I've had one nap in the middle of the day in the past 20 years because I suffer quite badly from insomnia. To sleep in the back of a car, albeit for 30 seconds here and 30 seconds there, it's just unreal. And I've got my little editing suite set up. I found that I've got my pillow on my lap. It brings my laptop up to like feels like I'm actually at a table. Huge thanks to my brother once again. I feel a little bit bad because I'm like, he's flown all the way up to Sydney and now he's driving while I'm being antisocial in the back and editing. But anyway, what an experience. You join me many hours later and I'm back behind the wheel. My brother is in the back seat. We're about 20 minutes away from my brother's house, which is great. Today has gone reasonably quickly for me. I don't know about you.
Yep, very quick.
Jack did a massive stint behind the wheel. The only way that I know it has been a fairly long day is when Jack and I stopped for breakfast this morning. I was saying goodnight to Lou, and we've just recently had a phone call with Lou saying good morning. So she's had a whole night's sleep and we're still on the road. I will join you briefly when we get to Jack's house because I'm sure you'll want to see the dogs. I can't wait to see them.